Okay, in this video, we will be looking at simple interest, compound interest, and how to use the calculator to do calculations for compound interest. All right, let's start. So Mohammed asked his friend Julie to lend him $10,000 so he can purchase a car. Mohammed will be able to pay the money back in 4 years and agree to interest of 10% per year. Okay, so here we are. Now the principal, which is the amount borrowed, is the $10,000. Now, if you wish, you could also put in a comma in there, but it's not necessary. All right. The rate is 10% per annum, and the term is for 4 years. Okay, so let's look at this table of values for the interest, the investment, or the money that was borrowed. So first year, $10,000, it's 10%. So 10% of $10,000, we can use the calculator, correct? We turn it on and we can go $10,000 and we can multiply by 10. And if we hit percent, it changes it to a decimal. And we press equal and we get the answer is 1,000, which is indeed this answer right here. Okay, so how much are they owing at the end of 1 year? Well, 10,000 plus this 1,000 right here would make it equal to, yes, 11,000. All right. Now notice, because it's simple interest, all right, that's the reason why, because it is simple interest here. This amount will not be added, will not be the new value for the principal. The principal remains $10,000. So in the second year, the same interest will be, the interest will be 10% on $10,000, which will result in $1,000 interest. Now that is added to this amount right here. Okay, so this amount here is indeed 11,000 plus 1,000 for the interest, and that would be equal to 12,000. All right, now similarly, in the third year, the interest is calculated on $10,000, so it will still be $1,000 interest. So to get this amount now, the end of year amount, we will take the amount from the previous year, which would be the end of the second year, the amount being $12,000, and then we add $1,000 of interest, and that would give us $13,000. Okay, so you see this 12,000 comes in here, and let's correct this, should be plus. All right. Okay, so lastly here, it's another $1,000 of interest. So here we should get what? Well, the amount from this previous line here, we could actually even just copy and we could just paste it in there. And then we would add $1,000. And that would be give us a grand total of $14,000. So that is what would be the end result. After 4 years, the amount owed would be $14,000 based on 10% interest rate for 4 years of simple interest. All right, that is simple interest. Now let's have a look at compound interest here. Now this is compound interest now, so let's take a look at what happens here. Maybe use a different color. All right. So $10,000, same thing, first year, $1,000 interest, right? As I showed you before, or we could have said 10%. If you wish, you could go and do your 10%, which is 0.10. and then multiply that by $10,000, and that would give us $1,000, just as we previously calculated. All right, so this here is there, and then now we will get what? It's 10,000 plus 1,000. That would give us a grand total of 11,000. Now watch what happens here. This 11,000 here, though, gets put over here as the principal. Different from previously, the 10,000, this $11,000 was not the amount here, but this $10,000 was carried through as the principal, and that is what's the difference with simple interest and compound interest, is that the amount of interest is added on, so this year-end amount of $11,000 becomes the principal for the next year. And so 10% interest of $11,000 gives us this $1,100 here, and this amount here would be what? It's 11,000 plus $1,100, and that would give us $12,100. And this amount here now comes here. And then that 10% of this amount would be 1210. We can demonstrate it by going 0.10 times 1210, and that gives us what? Sorry, I made a mistake there. It should be 12,100 times 0.10, and that would be $1,210. $1,210. So if we add those two numbers, we will get this number here. So if we add 12,100 plus 1,210, we will get $13,310, which is the number that becomes the new principal. And the 10% of that number, now we could do it another way, as I showed you before, 13310, and we can multiply by 10%, and we get 1331.00. So this amount here is 13310 plus 1331, and that would give us $14,641. We could actually demonstrate it on the calculator. Let's move the calculator this way, and we would have what? 1331. So we have the 1331 right here. Okay, and then we will take that and add 13310, and that gives us 14641.00, or 14641. Okay, so that is correct. Now let's introduce the calculator. Compound interest. Well, there must be better ways of doing it. Well, but first let's do with a formula. We could have used a formula looking like this. All right, future value, present value, interest rate, and the number of years, or number of compounding periods. The present value is $10,000, the amount of money that was borrowed. The interest rate expressed as a decimal is 0.14. And the number of years, well, in this case it's 4, but 4 times it's compounded annually, so it's really 4 times 1. You could say it's once per year, all right? And then if we go times, all right, maybe we can do it a lot quicker, or we can just use the multiplication sign. 1 times 4 is equal to 4. Okay. So that's how we got the 4. Now we can insert it into this formula right here, and then it would give us the same result. All right, we could also demonstrate that on the calculator, which is right here. So let's add these numbers first. So we go 1 plus 1.10 equals 1.10. And then we use this y to the x, and we put in 4, we press equal, and then we multiply that by $10,000, which gives us 14641.00. Okay, all right, now that is the formula. That's using the formula. Okay, so let's highlight that. We'll distinguish each one. Now, how does the calculator work? Well, the calculator works very similarly as this formula is working, except it's been pre-programmed, so that's why it's used, and it's very useful, and you will see how it is done. Now let's keep both at the same time on the display, and this is what we will do. All right, compounding is really once per year. This you will get used to. It's payments per year and compounding per year. But for compound interest, okay, you see for compound interest, PY and CY are equal. Okay, let's maybe highlight that so you can know that that is what happens. So how do we do it? Well, let's turn where the calculator is on. To get this PY, you see it's above the IY, so that means we have to invoke this second command. So if we follow these instructions right here, okay, and click on second and click on IY, you see PY shows up. Now by default, it has a 1 entered, but to enter it, we will put, so that's what this is showing, that PY shows up. Okay, so this is not really a key for you to, you don't press a key that says PY, all right, or that shows or displays PY. Okay, so 1, and we will click on enter. Now here's this arrow that's pointing down, so that's what we do there, and CY by default, the number is entered exactly as what is entered for PY. So 1 was entered for PY. You could actually go back there. So 1 is there for CY, but if we wish, we could enter it again, because we'll come up eventually to questions where PY and CY are not the same, but that's not for now. We're just in compound interest. So we can click and keep clicking, and you'll see the display PY and the display CY. So how do we get out of here? Well, we have to quit this quit command, and now it is above this CPT, so it means we have to use the second command. So we use second CPT, and that gets us out of this menu that had the PY and the CY. Okay, remember? Second IY put us into PY and CY, correct? And second CPT takes us out of there. That's why it's a quit. That will take you out of anything when you use the second key. All right, so now we put a 4 in there, 4 years, correct? Because this was for 4 years, it's right here. Okay, 4 years, 4 years right here. We could highlight it. So 4, now I usually use this second N command. Second N, it actually multiplied by the PY value, which in this case was 1. So it went 4 times 1, which would give us 4. But that value has not been entered into the register for N. So by pressing N, now it's entered. And how do we know? Well, because of this equal sign. Whenever you see that equal sign displayed, you know that a number has been entered. Okay? So that is how it's done. Now that is part of it. There's more to come. We have to deal with the interest. Now it's 10% interest. So how do you enter it? Well, we click 10, and then when we click on IY, it is entered. See the equal sign? So the interest is 10%. We don't have to make it a decimal. We use the percentage directly. Now we go to this $10,000 here. All right, so $10,000. Okay. Now I will make it, just believe me for now, that we make it negative for the present value. That was the amount that was borrowed. Okay, so let's say we're owing debt. All right. We have the money, but we're owing debt. So we could make it negative, right? We could say so, or we could say that we have the money if we wish, and we could keep it positive. But you will see what will happen. If I make this negative for now, so that's the present value, it's negative. I didn't make any payment, so my payment is 0. So I put in 0 for payment. And then I click on compute future value. Whoops, sorry, it didn't work. There it is, 14,641, which was exactly the amount that was there before when the formula was used, which was the number that was there before when we did it step by step, year by year. Okay, so the number is correct. All right, now this is a matter of choice about this negative value for PY. Let me recall it. Recall PV, sorry, for present value. I could have put a positive value in there. Okay, I press the positive, and if I compute the future value, it will be negative. All right, so either one is correct, but that is how the calculator operates. Now, you could have said that the present value was actually in possession of Mohammed, or Mohammed was in possession of the $10,000, and say it's an inflow and keep it as positive. Okay, so what we could have done was to this last bit here, instead of having plus minus, correct? So let's say we took this part here from here, okay? And we, maybe we should take the 10 just to get things working well. And then if we come down here and we paste it, now we get rid of that, and maybe we should put in here alternatively. All right, and so let's delete this and we go with the positive number. What will happen is that this will end up with a negative value. It will end up with a negative value. Okay, let me put it inside, and then I will go and delete the 1. So that was what will happen. I'm doing that to avoid losing the highlighting. That's the only reason. So that is what happened there. You see again, any value you can recall. So we could recall the interest, it's 10%. We could recall the present value, it is $10,000. So if we wanted to enter it positive in the beginning, we could have put 10,000, 10000, and then just press present value, 0 for the payment, correct? That is following this sequence here. Sorry, I deleted the present value. You should have a present value, correct? Now it's correct, okay? So we put in $10,000 or 10,000, the number, we just put a numerical value, and then we click on present value, and then we click on 0 PMT, and now we can click on CPT, is short for compute future value, and it is negative $14,641.